Today we'll be talking about the stigmas associated with mental illness and the ways we can get rid of them. First, let's start with the word stigma. Where does it come from? It came from ancient Greece. It means mark. It was used on slaves as a way to identify the position in the social structure and indicate they were of lesser value. So obviously, this is an unjust, unfair, and very outdated way to describe a human being. So why is it associated with mental illness? As a society, do we not judge people according to the mental illness that they have? Think of what comes to mind when you think of the word mental illness. Do positive things come to mind? Do you think of father, mother, doctor, lawyer, soldier, war hero? These are things that should be associated with mental illness. It is no longer a faceless, nameless disease. It affects 1 in 4 people in America, according to the New York Times article called How Many People Suffer from Mental Illness, written by Carl Bialik. So there are 4 components of mental illness: labeling someone with a condition, stereotyping people with that condition, creating a division, us, them, discriminating against people based on their label. So why is mental illness stigmatized? Its name already applies it's something different. It's something mental. It's all in the head. It separates it from physical illnesses. And a lot of closed-minded thoughts about this subject have been widely spread. But as time has passed, and with all that we have in the science, we know now that it's not a dirty word. It's not something to be kept a secret, and it's not anything for anyone to be ashamed of. Now, if you look at my chart, there are over 300 million people that live in the United States. 75 million of these people live with a mental illness. That's 32.4% of the whole population. That does not include in this section the people that have mental illness and would come out and seek the help that they need if they were not afraid of the stigmas and afraid of either losing their job, destroying a relationship, being judged, all those horrible things that should no longer be associated with mental illness. We now know many geniuses were diagnosed with mental illnesses, and many everyday people have a mental illness. Mental illness come in many different categories, from the worst, which would probably be a hospitalization, to the least, where you're affected, but you can take a medication and you can still live a very productive life. So no one should have to live with a shame, especially something that they did not ask for. As we find out through time that understanding mental illness is being caused by a combination of different things. So there's not one thing, there's not necessarily a certain thing that someone does. A mental illness could be in the genes, it could be hereditary, it could be a nurture, the way the person was raised, the people that the person was raised by. It could be dormant. A person could live their whole life with panic attacks and not have one if a certain event doesn't trigger it. Whereas in a lot of other people's lives, something small triggers and then they're dealt with a mental illness. Now, we know that the best way to get rid of stigmas is education. That's the best way to get rid of any type of ignorance. And it's very easy to do. And it's very confidential. All you need is a computer, a browser, type in mental illness, and you will get all the information that you will probably need. Have an open mind, and make sure you do your research. If you are a person who has a family member with a mental illness, or a spouse, someone you love, someone you care about, it's a wonderful thing for you to want to research and know everything you can about that mental illness in order to let that person know that what they have is okay. It does not make them different. Now, if you are willing to take the time and educate yourself, you will be really amazed as to all the things that you will learn and the decisions you will make, and the way it will change your mind so that we can get rid of the stigma for once and for all that has been hovering over mental illness for so many years. and bring it out into the light. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Anyone with a mental illness should not be ashamed, and together we can make the stigma go away. Thank you.